Hi guys, welcome back to you guys to my next video, which is introduction to risk analysis. Okay, now we are trying to look at and try to understand rather to see what is risk. Okay, I always like to see engaged learning, and of course when I teach to my students, I always like to have engagement, and I always keep asking students from my students. But of course you guys are physically far away from me, but still I would like to create some sort of engaged learning activities. I think it's the best way of learning. So when I teach to you guys, when you guys watch the video, this kind of icon appears in your this icon will appear, and then what happens is that it's time for you guys to freeze your video and think. So now I have a question from you guys, and my question now is what is risk? Please pause your video and think for a minute. Okay, what is risk? Risk, according to my understanding, is a possibility of having a negative impact. So we take risk almost every moment of our life. Like even if you go drive along the road, there's a risk about it. But the next question that we would like to ask is, why do we take risk? It's time again to you guys to think about it and post your video. All right, why we take risk? Again, according to my definition, risk is something that we think about having a positive impact. For example, we buy stocks thinking of stocks price goes up, right? But there is a possibility of going down, so that is the risk. And of course, if it goes up, definitely it's a benefit for us. So that's about the definition of the risk. Now the next slide, I would like to talk to you guys about the three elements of risk, which are threat, impact, and probability. So first look at the first element of risk, which is threats. So when you look at threats, guys, so there are different kind of threats. We have it, and of course I would say that different categories of threats. The very first one is of course natural disasters. We all know that we have earthquakes, we have typhoons, right? So we have all kind of natural disasters we face in our lifetime. So that's the first group of threats. And the second group of threat is called man-made threats. When we look at the man-made threats, there are two different kind of man-made threats. The first one we call it as internal, and the second one we call it as external. So difference between internal and external is something that within your organization and try to steal your data, because they have their legitimate access to your data, and they try to steal your data probably because they won't sell to your competitors and gain undue advantage. So that's, we call it fraud. At the same time, the second kind of man-made threat is, we call it external. That means someone not within your organization, someone outside your organization trying to hack your data and try to steal the data. So now it's time for you to think again. So now, who can give you the highest damage? Is it internal or external? The internal man-made threats are more serious than the external ones, because internal person that within your organization, they have their access rights to your data and of course your business process, so that they can damage you the most compared to external. If you look at past statistics, the damage has been given by, or impact has been given by your employees or someone external, that you could see that the numbers would speak themselves, and internal ones gives more damage to the organization than external ones. So we got to be very careful of giving legitimate access, as well as keep track. We got to monitor how things happening in the organization, because some people might do some bad things time to time. So now it's time for us to look at the next group of threats, which is technical. So when it comes to technical, There are different kind of technical threats. It could be something hardware failure. It could be something software failure. Hardware failure means your hard disk might be damaged, and then that you might lose the data in your hard disk, right? Or maybe that your servers could be down. So all this kind of hardware failure. So the next one is going to be software. So your software can be corrupted because of various reasons, maybe virus attack, maybe just hard disk failure, and then you're done with software. As well as the next one could be the network. Your network could be down because of many reasons, because of failure of the equipments within your network. Maybe routers, switches, hubs are down, maybe that cable's broken. So there are many reasons that network could be down. And sometimes it could be too much load to your network. Maybe the bandwidth used up too much, so that it's too much concurrent access to your servers. That's possible. And the last one could be the data. So these are what we call the different kind of threats. So now we are moving to the next element of threat, which is the impact. Impact means trying to measure the damage due to the threat what you face. So when we measure it, sometimes we can easily measure in terms of dollars. For example, so because of the threat, you lost your business, and then you see that how much the dollar amount that you lost. Because of earthquake, so we have rebuilt your entire premises, so you know that how much would be cost for the renovation of your buildings. So those are, you're putting a dollar amount, but not all the time, or not all the situation that we can put a dollar amount to measure the impact. For example, after the threat, you lost your customers and customer reputation, your organization reputation, the customer morale, right? Understand? And employees morale, customer satisfaction. So all these things are hard to measure directly. So we call it, those are as like, qualitative. We can't measure directly, but still we need to measure. So that what we do is we come up with a scale: low, medium, high, and then scale of 1 to 5, negligible to major, 1 to 5, 1 to 3. So that's how we are going to measure. We call it qualitative. So finally, we look at the last element of risk, which is the probability. So again, probability means basically likelihood of having risk. Example is like, how likely will be a next earthquake happens of magnitude 6.5. So how can we make that judgment? So basically we look at historical data and see, like, for last 50 years, last 100 years, or go up to whatever the time that we keep the data, and see like in how often those earthquakes happens, and we are going to make prediction for the future. So again, so the likelihood or probability, for we put a scale of 1 to 5, again, because it's not a direct measure, it's going to be indirect measure. So this could be, remember, is subjective, because one person would say that, okay, next earthquake of magnitude 6.5 will be happening in another 2 years time. Another one could be say that no, it's going to be next 2.5 years time. So it could be very much to be subjective. All right, so now we have an idea about a risk. Now we could continue. In the next video, we are going to talk about the risk analysis and risk management to understand risk better. All right, guys, see you soon.